Good afternoon, dear followers and guests. Tonight, the Arab American Center for Culture and Arts is proud to feature a new book, and the author is Brigitte Jawad-Hachem, author of Metaverse and Mortgages: A Journey to Global Mortgage Systems in the Digital World. With over 35 years of experience across the mortgage, finance, banking, and real estate industries, Ms. Jawad Hashim brings a rare blend of real world leadership and forward looking insight. Her background includes academic and professional credentials in finance, computer science, and higher education, along with a strong portfolio of industry licensing and professional certifications. She is the owner and broker of Infinity One Corp, a mortgage brokerage, and leads Premier One Group Incorporation, a real estate firm, giving her a ground level view of how housing finance actually works for families, communities, and markets. In Metaverse and Mortgages, she takes readers from traditional lending models to the fast arriving future where digital trust, AI, and emerging technologies are reshaping how people access home ownership around the world. With me presenting this episode is His Excellency Dr. Ali Ajami, the Vice President of the Arab American Center for Culture and Arts. And also joining us for discussion is Mr. Khalil Hashim and Mr. Ali Sharafuddin, who we will introduce later on. To start us off, let's hear from Brigitte the idea of the book and some excerpts from it so we can have a better idea of what's presented to us through this book.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Dr. Ali Ajami. Thank you, Wissam. Thank you, Khalil. Thank you for the audience for joining us today. Metaverse and Mortgages: A Journey to the Global Mortgage System in a Digital World. The story of mortgage, the world's most influential financial instrument in many ways, is the story of civilization, reflecting the evolution of trust, property, and promise. As we enter an era shaped by algorithms, automation, and artificial intelligence, the mortgage remains a symbol of continuity. It has evolved from a handshake to paper sealed in ink to blockchain verified contracts, yet its essence remains unchanged, a human promise measured by numbers but fulfilled by dreams. So, the Metaverse and Mortgage invites readers into the next frontier of real estate and mortgages, where technology, data, and human ambition intersect. How innovation is rewriting the mortgage playback for the next generation of borrowers. It's about how technology and humanity will coexist in the new age of real estate, and how the physical and the virtual digital world coexist. In this book, we examine how technology is reshaping the way we buy, finance, and understand property, from blockchain transparency to virtual assets. Each chapter blends industry insight with global perspective, capturing the spirit of innovation and defines the next era of finance, and how the human element is needed behind every transaction, ensuring that the timeless promise of home remains central in a digital world. The book flows and covers basic terminology and description of key players in the industry. This is for people that don't know anything about mortgages. It's an introduction. It's from the start of a promise to the digital era, exploring the age of financial crisis to recovery and the future of the next generation rewriting the rules. It captures different global regions and their system, its informational data for different types of mortgage products. It includes Islamic financing, products like reverse mortgages for seniors, things that a lot of people don't know, general audience, that probably just for informational purposes. It covers green and climate crisis and the effect of financing and developments. This is a book about innovation and empathy. It's a book that no matter what, we still need the human element. This is the book of Metaverse and Mortgage, and welcome to the new world of Metaverse and Mortgages.
Thank you, Brigitte. And introducing Mr. Khalil Hashim, who is basically lives in the intersection of media, public affairs, and community influence. The kind of person who doesn't just follow the story, but help shape how our community understands it. He's the executive editor and publisher of YaMichigan.com and Michigan Magazine, one of the fastest growing digital businesses platforms in the community. And he's also the voice behind US Arab Radio, the local connections on WNZK 690 AM, a show with an audience spanning 13 states, reaching as far as Washington, D.C., and even into the Middle East. Beyond broadcasting and publishing, he's a real estate professional and investment advisor, currently a senior associate at POGI, bringing a sharp economic lens to local and national trends. Before all that, he built a serious foundation in journalism, serving as a government reporter for the Ann Arbor News for 10 years, then reporting for the Beaumont Enterprise in Texas, and working as a general assignment correspondent for the Tampa Bay Times, formerly as the St. Pittsburgh Times, one of America's top newspapers at that time. On top of his reporting career, he spent 2 decades as a diversity trainer, public speaker, and presenter, helping organizations communicate better, lead smarter, and navigate the real world with a little more competence and a lot more humanity. He holds a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of South Florida and a master's in diplomacy and conflict resolution from Norwich University in Vermont. Please welcome Mr. Khalil Hashim.
Thank you. I appreciate the introduction. It sounded like bigger than the book. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. I didn't expect that. I'm really honored to be among you, Dr. Ajami, Wissam, and the new author, Brigitte. We, as a matter of disclosure, we worked together, Brigitte and I, in Premier One Group. And I love books, and not just because I've been a journalist for a long time. It's just since I was a little boy, I love books. And then being a journalist, we take complex information and we simplify it and we provide it to people. And that's what I love about this book that Brigitte really put together so eloquently. Mortgages touches our lives. The average American buys a home and sells a home 3 times in their lives at least. And for them, this experience, for anyone, this experience is still so unique and different, and sometimes it's kind of obscure. And then what Brigitte did so simply is trying to explain something so complex in 70 or 80 pages that she did, and she gave us a history of mortgages and what do we need to know, whether we are a customer, whether we are a professional. And I've been involved in real estate for about 15 years now. I wrote about it for about 10 years at the Ann Arbor News, and I learned quite a bit when I read this book. And what I love about it is it's an easy read, and it is universal in a way that anybody can read it and enjoy it and learn from it. And I put it on the table after I was done with it, and my son, who is 19, picked it up and started reading it. And that really tells you, not only it attracts me as a professional in the field, but also attracts young people, and that's a good thing. The other thing I like to mention is that I've always, liked our community to support new books, specifically members of the community, because this is how we encourage everybody in the community to produce and write. And the more books we support, the more we support the community.
Thank you, Mr. Hashim. And we're going to go to Dr. Ali to start us off with the discussion.
Okay, let me say I want to welcome everybody to Metaverse and Mortgage. Here it's the virtual world collides with real world depth. In this show, we are trying to explore a simple but unsettling question. when our lives, jobs, and assets move into digital spaces? What happens to the most physical promise we ever signed, the mortgage? From virtual land to real interest rates, from avatars to actual homes. This show looks at how the future of property ownership and financial security is being quietly rewritten. Brigitte, I want to start by a simple, very simple question. Someone who doesn't know so much about mortgage, about this new virtual life, metaverse. If I would like to ask you just a simple question, I would love to understand what's the relation, what's the link between mortgage and virtuality and metaverse? How could you combine both of them together? What's the link between both of them?
Interesting question, Dr. Ajami, because everything right now is virtual and digital and all of that. As you know, we are oldies, our age group. So we started with pens and paper and ink, and then the world evolved into the digital world. What it does, it just helps, makes things, hopefully, it's making things simpler. It is in some ways, and in some ways, it's not. For somebody that's starting out that doesn't know anything about mortgages, going back to your first question, and while I was interested, while I was writing the book, I dived right into it because I know the subject matter so well. And my son, who's in law school, first year law school, told me, "Mom, why don't you define what is a mortgage first for somebody that?" He kind of gave me that. I'm like, "Yeah, of course, that's a great idea." So I started doing a definition of a mortgage, which started in the mid 20th century. It was just a handshake, then a pledge, and then a promise. And then from that, it became more paper and pen, and then it became digital. So what makes them coexist is the invention of the digital finance in the 21st century to help enhance the productivity. And it's an innovation from one to another. I hope that answers your question.
Okay.
If I may take the next question, Brigitte, just to start it off simple, for people who don't live in the mortgage world, what's the simplest way to explain how a mortgage system differs from one country to another?
Well, this is what I did when I was writing this book. It just came to mind. There's a lot of people that don't know any information, basic information. I was surprised that somebody doesn't even know what a mortgage is. So the book defines, like I said, the definition of a mortgage, the players in a mortgage transaction, the types of mortgages out there. What differentiates it is there isn't a book out there that talks about the mortgage global system, actually. That's why I decided to do this. And it's not a big book, it's about 90 pages. It kind of explores, it flows from what a mortgage is to the age of invention of digital finance, to the age of algorithms, to the US system. Then I combined the UK and Europe system in a very summarized version because you don't want to complicate things. And I made it in very simple form, and it's formatted very easy to read. It's just a summarized information about how the mortgage system is all over the world. And there are references that covers that also.
Simplicity wise, is it simpler in the US than other countries?
They are very similar in many ways. It started here. It started actually in the European medieval ages, and then globally, every country is very similar, but a different system. But they're very similar in, for example, here we have 30-year mortgages. We even have 40-year interest-only mortgages. And our president mentioned a 50-year mortgage, which is not out there yet. We don't have that overseas. Overseas, they go by your age. For example, here, if you're 80 years old, you can get a 30-year mortgage. Overseas, they go by age and the time you took the mortgage. So if you're 60, they probably give you a 10-year mortgage or 15-year mortgage. So it does vary from country to country, but they all follow interest rate factors uh, based on the region. For example, in US, we have the LIBOR, we have the index, we have the prime rates, we have all of that. Over there, they have their own different rates.
Okay. Brigitte, let me stay on the simple side still.
Yes, that's just simple.
I mean, are we trying to talk about virtual properties? And if this is what we are going through, how could we convince any person like me, normal person, you will have a virtual property? Is it convincible to the population, to people, to own virtual properties?
Yes, it is. Virtual properties is mentioned as a virtual real estate property at the end of the book. Most of the book actually emphasized more on the coexistence of the digital world and the mortgage world, where right now we have mortgages that are digitalized and they're on platforms and they're on cloud. Everything is decentralized. A virtual property is a completely different topic where there's actually people that buy virtual properties in the virtual world. That's another era of things that's happening right now.
What's a virtual property? I don't understand. I mean, like you buy in something that you don't know and you don't see?
Yeah, you buy something that's in a virtual world. It's just some sort like the coins, like the crypto type of
Buying something unreal,
buying
not
something
existing?
that has value. It's a virtual property. Something that has value. It's something like the cryptocurrency.
So are you talking in a meta world that
Yes.
is specific to a certain company? For
Yes.
example, if Facebook creates its meta world, then they have virtual real estate, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So
And
it's
these,
completely
I mean,
different. I'm
yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
I mean, the
Yeah, go ahead.
metaverse and mortgages, the title of metaverse and mortgages is actually metaverse as a digital world, how that's been used now in the mortgage industry and the financial world. So it's more cloud platforms, digital, something related to that. That includes the mortgage and financing world. So how
Okay.
they coexist together. We didn't have that before. We didn't have digital worlds before. Everything was paper and pen, pens, ledgers, filing cabinets. Now we have them in platforms and digital sense. Before an underwriter will look at a file, a banker, you send a file in, he look at it, he will determine your qualification based on what he sees on paper. Now it goes to IA or AI, I'm sorry, IA. I had a long day today. AI, and then technology will just pick out based on numbers if somebody qualifies or not. So there's no human element to it. They don't know. A banker will know how a person feels when he buys a house, their emotions. Computers and AI don't know emotions. They only know numbers. They go by that. They don't go by anything else. So at the end, the book just covers that, how we coexist together between that and the financial world, and how the human element is still going to be needed no matter what, because innovation and empathy have to come together.
Okay. So before we go into the combination of the metaverse or the effect of metaverse on mortgages, we just want to stick a little bit to the global vision of mortgages. So in your covering of global regions, which region surprised you most in terms of access to home ownership, regulation, or innovation in mortgages?
Every region had its own characteristics. For example, the European region, they're more into green climate, more related into climate crisis, climate control. They build based on future climate analysis. Places like Australia and Canada more into growth and stability. Islamic regions, Middle East, into Islamic financing, which is a completely different, unique product. And maybe globally, they should look at those products because they're more profit generated than interest based in growth like that. Africa and Asia, Africa is emerging. The U.S. is the nucleus of the mortgage industry from the start. So every region is different. When it comes to like reverse mortgages, which I don't want to talk too much about the book, then nobody's gonna buy it. So you're letting me give you more details about the book, but reverse mortgages are more for seniors, and it varies from region to region. Like in U.S., reverse mortgages are for seniors that tack into their equity without making a mortgage payment. So if they really need some funds, they can go in there, but they're very highly cost products, but they're not for everyone. So in US, if you're 62 years old and you own your property free and clear, you can get up to 60% of the value of the property and not pay anything and get them in monthly payments or installments. And when you die, whatever left, the interest accrues on the property, the balance is up, they pay and give your heirs the difference. In Canada, surprisingly, 55 years is the age for that. If you're 55 years old. So it varies from country to country. But it's a very unique product also, if it's only made for people that need it.
Okay,
Mr.
Brigitte, sorry. Yeah.
Doctor.
Oh, yeah.
We'll take turns, so we'll go back to Mr. Khalil to ask a question.
Yes, it's interesting about about the book. How successful, from your research, Islamic financing is in the U.S. and how different it is from regular financing?
Like I said, Islamic financing, as you know, is follows Sharia law, and they have different products. Some of them are rent to own, some of them are partnership, shared. They have different products. How successful it is here, they have it in UK, they have it in US. Some private institutions offer it. It's a very unique product, and I think as time goes, some of the lenders are going to look into those products as how is it different than conventional? Is Islamic thing, like riba is not allowed in our
Prohibited, yeah.
or prohibited, and a lot of clients would prefer to go that route, but it's just profit instead of interest. That's the difference in it.
Okay.
It could be a product that will probably be very popular. It is growing, but it's more common in the Middle East than other regions. But there is a market for it. There's a growing market for it. So your question is how different it is? Is it from conventional mortgage?
Yeah, conventional mortgage.
They're very similar.
Instead of paying interest, what am I paying?
You're paying profit. What they do, they calculate it. It's calculated in such a way where the profit is added into the difference of the loan, kind of, but not named interest, but named profit. So there's different kinds of products in that.
What does the average person need to know if they want to get a loan?
Important loan here in the U.S.
In the U.S., yes.
In the U.S., the standard basic requirements: good credit scores, 2 years employment, good assets. I mean, every product is different. Every profile is different. Every portfolio is different. So that's why we talked about automation and how a computer can analyze or qualify a client. You need the human brains to do that. Because every case is different. You can put the same information from a same client into the automated system. With a human, you're going to come with two different answers. And you know how that works, Khalil, especially with me. Yeah. So it does differ.
Dr. Ali, تفضل.
Yeah. Brigitte, I want to go back to the same question because it worries me a lot.
Okay, what's the question?
The first one about virtual property. Are virtual properties legally recognized in the real world mortgage now?
Dr. Ali, virtual properties are something new, and it's something like the cryptocurrency. They're not um, legalized yet. They're in the works. We don't know what's ahead. I haven't come across any of those myself, and I don't sell those products either. So virtual properties are something that you buy that does not exist in a physical world. It's just like the cryptocurrency. They're just virtual lands.
But as you mentioned, they are not yet legally recognized.
As far as I know, not yet. They're in the
So,
works.
so they are not legal.
Well, I don't want to say they're not legal. They're in the works, so I'm not sure of that question exactly, to be honest with you, because you're hitting me with the questions that I wasn't prepared for. Um, but the virtual properties, they are in the works. They're not legal yet, but there are companies out there that are selling virtual lands and virtual plots, and there needs to be more research done on that. I don't sell those. I don't intend to because I like to see virtual, tangible assets. So,
Yeah.
Okay, Brigitte, another question. I want to bring, to you the subject. I'm not sure if you have addressed it in the book or or even you personally have thought about it. That there are criticisms for the mortgage system. The mortgage system, as it is today, uh, being a servant to a very aggressive capitalistic system, it has its downfalls. Does not recognize housing as a human right. It is based on credit worthiness and not a human need. It is affordability is structurally undermined. Foreclosures functions as legalized displacements. Discrimination isn't history; it is architecture. And it's built into the credit process, which keeps underprivileged communities more challenged in acquiring mortgages. Is there, through your research, is there countries that offer better options, countries that recognize human housing as a human need? We are a very interesting organism that works all its life for shelter, something that is strange in the animal world, that we have to work 30 years to have a cover over our heads. And today the crisis is even exaggerated with doubts about our children ever having the ability to afford any housing. So how is the virtual world gonna make this easier? Is there new opportunities, new consciousness that is addressing these issues?
um, mortgages are very important in getting homes because not everybody has the cash to purchase homes. And like I said, and everyone deserves a home. So, going back to why metaverse mortgages is it's evolution from paper to digital, and that's where humans come into factor because I look at every case very differently and we work with everybody in different ways. We have clients that come in with zero to nothing down, and we work with them to get to that point to be able to save and work with their credit situation and income situation to get them to the point where they can buy a property and help them find the right property for them. I've got clients that come to us that want to over pay for something. We stop them. We don't let them ethically. We work with someone ethically. So that's why I said the human factor is so important because every case is different. I've had people that I was just talking to somebody yesterday. I told her, you have to wait 6 months. You can't do this. You have to save money. And I gave her advice what to do to help them get to that point. Yes, affordability is a problem. As you know, inflation is a huge factor. Uh, Demand and supply. A lot of the population is growing. Generations are changing. Even we talked about millennials and generation Z. Their needs are completely different than us 20, 30 years ago. Their need is based on remote work, small space, workspace, home. So they live like in a digital virtual world. Their money is in their pockets. They don't have the cash anymore. So it's gonna vary. But like I said, the human factor is going to be the one that will help move us into the next transition of affordability and all of that. There's always going to be demand for housing. There's always going to be demand for home and food are necessities. So there are ways of I've seen properties being added to, quarters are being added for in-laws or the next generation to live together. So there's going to be a change on how things are done in reference to housing. Housing is going to be completely different. They're probably going to be houses built on top of each other. We don't know how things are going to go.
Thank you. Mr. Khalil, and if you want to comment also on the question, you can go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's things are evolving and evolving really fast. If we take a look at 5 years or 10 years and how we used to do real estate, or we used to do journalism, or we used to do anything, it just things they're just developing very quickly. My concern has always been, as we follow AI and everything else, who else is being priced out of the market or is not being able to really get a home? There are a lot of people who need a home that cannot get a home. These are the untouchables. And even though the market in the US keeps evolving, you know, we had 15 years home, 20 years, 15-year mortgage, 20-year mortgage. And now we have 30, we have 40. Is that correct, Brigitte? We have 40-year mortgages now.
We have 40-year interest-only mortgages, and if Trump pushes it, we'll probably have 50-year mortgages also.
50-year mortgages, and the reason they do that is to make the monthly payment smaller, so more and more people can afford a home. You know, the innovation of the American system is always tries to find a way to, you know, for people to find a home. And my concern has always been, if we rely on AI, what are we giving up? You know, and what Brigitte said was the human element, but are we really pricing some people out of the system? And that worries me. And to go back to the virtual, because that worries me too, Dr. Ajami, as well. It is legal, and it is traded like securities, and it's just a totally different world. Interestingly enough, in 2015, we ran a story where a company claimed $19 million for selling land on the moon. They would sell you an acre for $19.99 with no trespassing sign on it, and they would guarantee that no one would trespass on your property. But this is as crazy as today, people buying and selling land, which is basically, it's just like a coin that doesn't exist. But and unfortunately, it is legal, and it is just like securities. You don't see them; they exist.
They're still on the works, Khalil, because some of them we need more research on that in reference to the legalization of it.
Yeah.
Like you said, some of them are not legal. A lot of people are just like the cryptocurrencies.
Yeah. They're not regulated, but they're not regulated.
They're not regulated. So, that's the right word for it.
Yeah, that's the right word for it. They're not regulated.
A lot of questions that I wasn't prepared for, but
they do exist. So, but and that's a concern. I mean, where are we gonna go? And I mean, virtual property. I'm buying a virtual building.
You can't even live in it. So I don't know how, because we're talking about mortgages here for physical world.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Dr. Ali?
Yeah. Brigitte, we are in a new market.
Yes.
The virtual property. Do you think, let's talk about a couple of months or couple of years, do you think this emerging market might have a negative impact on the real world mortgage?
I don't think so because, like I said, we need physical. We need physical housing. We're talking about physical mortgages are more for physical housing. There is mortgages out there for virtual real estate, which I don't know how they're working that. That's not legalized. That's not regulated yet. They're still in the works, like the cryptocurrency. But let's stick to. It seems like you like a lot of virtual real estate, Dr. Ajami. Let's talk about mortgages. This is more about mortgages. Metaverse in this book is more about how the digital and the physical coexist together in reference to how things have become more digital and then paper and pen and ledgers and file cabinets and towers of file cabinets, and how the human element is so important to be able to get somebody into a home that they deserve. Going back to qualifying somebody and affordability, like we said, sometimes we have to put somebody on a 40-year mortgage so they can afford the house. Because instead of them paying rent, nobody lives in their house for 30 years. We've seen average 5 to 10 years, then they upgrade. Once that mortgage is sold or property is sold, the mortgage is paid off, they get their money and they move on to either upgrade or downgrade. So instead of them renting, they pay a lower payment, a little higher interest, lower payment, extended over 40 years. That makes them it makes their property affordable, and they can live in a home. Like I said, everyone deserves a home at the end. Well, virtual real estate, there is a financing for virtual real estate in the metaverse world, and it is just a product that's out there for just like the stocks and the cryptocurrency and all of that. It's not actual physical, tangible property.
So it will never be taxed by government, just like the ordinary real estate.
We are not sure how that works. Like I said, there's still some research done on that because it's a new product out there. It's just selling something different that doesn't exist.
Okay.
Like Khalil said,
If it makes a profit, it will be taxed. The government will find a way to tax them.
definitely.
Trust
yeah.
me. Trust me.
All right, Brigitte, on another topic, Trump recently is banning large investors from buying homes. As you know, that large investors, corporations buying
Yes.
family house has been a reason for the increase in housing prices. Do you support that move? What's your opinion about it?
Private investors and large investors have been purchasing properties, which is eliminating the supply for the normal homeowner that wants to buy a home. So I support that because that will give us a little bit more supply for an average person that's looking for a property than somebody making profit of a large amount of properties and not allowing a normal person to own a home.
Yes, Mr. Khalil.
Well, that was kind of surprise to me from a developer who became a president, and then he ended up, making that decision. I think it's a good move to help, but that's not enough. We need a lot more than that to really provide affordable homes to people. We need to develop more homes. I mean, right now, building homes is very costly. Zoning is a nightmare. And then, working with local governments and contractors is very difficult. So, and the reason we don't have enough homes on the market all of these years is that from 2008 to 2016, we did not build any new homes. Let me just put it in perspective, if I may. The average American buy and sell homes 3 times in their lives. First, they buy a starter home. And then when their family is big, they sell the starter home, buy a bigger home. And then once the children are gone, on their own, then they go ahead and sell the big home, buy a smaller home. So they're buying 3 times in their lives, they're buying homes. To do that, you have to have the stock there for you to really, perform that kind of balance. And from 2008, because of the crisis we had till 2016, in America, we did not build any new homes. And then once we started building homes, we got hit by COVID, and it made the building process really difficult because of the prices. The 2x4 went from $1.25 to $9. And so it's going to take us from now till 2036 if we continue building to catch up or provide the new homes in the market. So it's going to need, what the president did is a good start, but it's not really enough. We need a lot more projects out there. We need a lot more initiatives to provide, homes for people who really need them. Right now, the startup home is 250 and up. A lot of people cannot afford that, So we need different programs to allow people to achieve the American dream, which is by owning your own home.
Well, in addition to that, he's trying to push for lower rates also. This is another major factor that we're faced with. It's because we had refinances and rates at 2 and 3% 3-4 years ago. People that have mortgages at that rate are not going to sell and buy something at 6 or 7%. So everybody's holding on to their property. That's why he was talking about portable mortgages, if you heard about portable mortgages. Portable mortgages is using your existing mortgage financing and buying another home with it, which is very, very difficult logistically. And that's going to need a lot of logistics to move properties and title work and all of that. So I don't know. They're definitely, him stopping bigger corporations buying properties is the first good step. But that's not enough, like Khalil said. We're going to need much more than that, lower rates. And so there's more purchases and sales that will happen. And then there isn't that many properties out there. And like I said, population is growing and people are growing outwards and going to different areas. They're not able to afford a home.
Brigitte, on the process of the book, a little bit, we want to come back to the process of writing the book.
Yes.
Where did you get the inspiration from? How did the idea of writing a book usually? I haven't really seen any mortgage broker around me that actually has presented a book about their profession. I mean, I'm sure there are, but I haven't really seen. I feel it's a new trend of Arab American professionals writing from their profession's point of view. So how did this idea, how was it born?
So let me give you a little background. I was born and raised in Freetown, Sierra Leone, West Africa. I'm Lebanese. We had a nice, large community. My dad was a trader, and I was in trade. And then I came to U.S. after that, studied here. My background is in finance and computer science. And lately, I got my higher teaching certificate from Harvard University. Harvard Block is a higher teaching education certificate. In the interim, I worked in the banking industry, in the financial industry. I also, in 08, 09, when we had the crisis here, I actually took an opportunity in Dubai and worked with the real estate regulatory agency there, where we trained and got agents licensed because they didn't have licensing back then in 08. And I still do consulting with them. I also worked in the UK with a few organizations. And I started the mortgage industry in 1990 as a one-person operation, expanded into about 100 employees, wholesale lending, downsized again after 9/11, and then went into the real estate industry where we have a one-stop shop where we would get clients approved and find them the property. We specialize in commercial and residential. And lately I wanted to write a book, but I didn't want to write a book about myself. I wanted something that would be interesting and informational, because a lot of people don't know what's going on outside of their box or outside of the region. So everybody knows you live in US, you only know about US. I figured the best thing to do is to go in and talk about how we started with just paper and pen. At the time, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have internet. We only had the fax. We'll have FedEx going with 20 packages back and forth every single day. And I think a lot of people in the industry can relate. We had pagers, that's all, and payphones. We didn't have the internet and all of that. So I figured I'll start with that. That's how the book starts, is how we started with that and how a technology came into how we're living in a virtual world of digital finance, and how the digital finance is actually making decisions on our behalf where the human brains and factor is not involved in analyzing a file. Because when I analyze a file, I look at the human factor of it and becomes a part of me. Their story becomes a part of me. They come to me with their stories and I make their dreams come true. And then I figured a lot of people don't know about Islamic financing, about reverse mortgages. And the book flows. If you read it, it flows from one chapter to the other. And it covers, and it goes and covers the global market where people would know how things are done over there. Like, and I summarized the regions. So it's not long to read. So I summarized Canada, Australia, UK, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Asia. And it's just a unique book. There's nothing like it out there. I'm not saying this because I wrote it, but I actually wrote it, crafted from my heart. That's how it was written. I would stay up to 4 a.m. My husband would attest to that because he'll be up and say, "What are you doing staying up?" And it took me about 7 or 8 months to put it together. And everything was designed from the book cover to the content. I did have some AI to help me correct some grammarly issues. But apart from that, it's all from my learning experience and what I have experienced myself. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Yes, Dr. Ali, تفضل.
Yeah, Brigitte, I mean, if our jobs, wealth, and social life exist in the metaverse, but our debt is very real, who do you think will carry the risk? The borrowers, the bank, or the community?
The community. I carry the risks. Actually, the bank carries most of the risk because they're the ones that are lending the money. When you say, can you clarify more on your question, because it's a little unclear. Do you agree with me?
No. I'm just trying to differentiate or to put two things on different platforms. Metaverse from one side, reality from one side.
Yes.
We are all our social life, our money, our jobs exist in the metaverse, but our debt is very real. We take money from the banks.
Yes.
Who will take the risk if it happens? Who will carry this risk?
The bank will carry the risk that loans you the money. If they don't get paid, the bank is going to be out of their money. They're the major risk actually in this factor.
Do you think we will reach to this level of crisis?
We don't know what the next era comes, Dr. Ajame, because we're in a very fast world right now. We don't know what's next. Imagine if all of a sudden the satellite is out and we don't have internet. What are we going to do? Do you know that some of the new children don't even know how to use the dial phone that we used to use before?
Yeah.
They need instructions to use that. I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do if we have internet. I mean, it is very good. It's efficient. It saves us time. It's speed. But then it's not. We definitely need to be involved in the transactions. I think we cannot eliminate the human element in any way, shape, or form.
In the last second we have, if I may, it's important for us to buy the book, because not only we're learning more, but we're making Arab American writers successful. The more books we buy from our American Arab writers, is the more opportunities we open for other writers to really have their books published.
Like I said, the way I made the book is very, very simple. It's not complicated. It's very informational. It's condensed. It's summarized, because if I make it longer, it will be very boring. So it just covers basics, and then it flows into different information in different regions, and it covers Islamic financing and reverse mortgages, which they are very unique products that will benefit either the one that's looking for Islamic financing or the seniors that need to have a part of like their pride at least to stay in their homes and be able to afford not to move and be able to support themselves without moving out of their homes. So it's a product that's very unique to just certain kind of people that need a product like that. So, like I said, this is all informational. I brought in digital because it's a futuristic thinking. The next generation, they will be rewriting the rules. And this is, they look for things like this, things in the digital world, but we still have to remind them they're still humans. And we still need the human factors in everything that we do. Even like the medical doctors, they use robotics for surgeries, but they don't think. You don't know. Things come up last minute. How is a robot going to figure out how to fix things where you still need the human doctor's hands to fix things?
Thank you, Brigitte. And the final few minutes we have, we have time for a few short questions. AI has entered the mortgage world as much as it entered everything else. Have you, from your personal experience, found it to be a positive insertion, a positive change? Is it making mortgages more accessible to people, or is it actually complicating things by removing the human factor?
Okay, so right now, at first, someone will go to a bank, meet with an officer, apply for a loan, and meet with them face to face. Officer would send it to the underwriter. They look at the file from a human perspective. When they apply through a computer system, the computer doesn't know all their information. I can take the same information, input it into a computer system or an app, and take that same information to me, a human person, and we're not going to get the same results. Because the computer is going to look at numbers and not look at facts, look at data and not look at how to fix things. We will package it in such a way where the computer doesn't know how to package this. They'll just take information. Here's the numbers. You're in or out. It's a yes or no with the computer system. It's good to an extent where it will speed things up, like we did in the past when we used to send a file out. We will have to fax 100 pages. Now we can put them in one file and send it. Okay, that's great. But more than that, when it comes to more complex situations, it needs the human eyes to put the dots between the lines and get this application through and make somebody get approved for financing. So yes, there's pros and cons for it. But at the end, I still think that it's good to use the automated system to speed things up. But at the end, you have to do the final look to make sure that everything is in line to qualify for someone. And that applies to any other industry, not just our industry.
And last question, I'll also go around to see if there's any last questions from our guests. But my last question is, there is a trend of Americans moving to Europe. This trend has been increasing exponentially. In 2022, that increased by 24%. And in 2024 has been the fastest growing year of Americans moving permanently to Europe. The mortgage rates are about half of the US. The housing prices are on average much less. You get much better life-work balance, much better social life, free healthcare, free education. And on the index of happiness and health and all the good indexes in the world, a lot of the European countries, they score up in high. So Americans have been fleeing. They have been also fleeing the tendency towards more right, the country going more to the right, having more political tensions. This is going to be noticeable in the mortgage books. What is your observation in that regard? Do you have any observations in that regard? Is there any firms? Have you thought of doing business between Europe and the United States?
Yes. I have been looking, and I actually started looking into that when we had the 2008 crisis. Is when I started looking overseas, and a lot of people did that. And I still have contacts, and I'm still in the works of doing something between here and over and globally, like more Europe, Middle East areas. Uh, Cost of living is very high. Taxes are very high. You have to work. You actually have to like stamp money here to be able to maintain. Every day you need X amount of dollars. It's never ending, and it's getting worse and worse. And the quality of life is not. It's work, home, home, work, and you have to continuously produce to be able to maintain the lifestyle. Whereas in other countries, they have 4 day schedules. Some countries work from 9 to 2 or 9 to 3. They're probably more sunny. Cost of living is better. Housing is better. I think we have the highest property taxes in the world in U.S. I mean, if you have your house paid off, you still have property taxes, and they're even getting worse. The quality of life is not as good. The crimes are more. It's political tension. There's so many things happening. Yes, I see a lot of people fleeing the country, but those that are already established here for a very long time, when you're deeply rooted, it's so hard to leave. It's so hard to start new somewhere else. The newer generation may be able to do with that, but the older ones, it's very difficult to just uproot yourself and just start somewhere else from scratch. But I do see that trend, and I think it's going to even get worse because our current president has kind of closed the borders a little bit, and more, I don't want to say a little bit, and just wants to keep it within his own people, and wants to keep it all American. So a lot of foreigners are also leaving, and there's no interest of coming in here either.
Dr. Ali?
Yeah, my final quick question, Brigitte. Do you think we are moving fast toward a future where people rent physical homes but own virtual ones?
Dr. Hajime, he likes the virtual world so much because that's all he talks about is the virtual
No,
world.
I'm
I understand.
completely
I understand.
annoyed. I mean,
Yes.
worried about it. Just,
Well, you shouldn't be too worried. Worry about the physical world right now. The virtual world is all investments, Dr. Hajime, just like the cryptocurrency. It's all investment. They're all investment products. They're completely different than the virtual real estate that we talk about, the physical real estate.
okay.
So I'm
Mr.
not too worried about that. Right now, we have to get worried about the physical real estate because we have a low supply of that, and we need more for the new generation and the generations to come.
Okay.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Khalil?
Just a final comment. I mean, it's a great book. It's a simple read. Even if you're not interested in mortgages, just read it. Reading is the most wonderful thing we ever have. The best gift we ever have. So it keeps me alive, and I love reading. So I highly recommend it.
Thank you. Thank you, Brigitte. Good luck to you in this book and in any future endeavors in writing. And thank you for all those who have watched this episode. Follow us on the Arab American Center for Culture and Arts for upcoming programs. Thank you, Mr. Khalil, again. Thank you, Dr. Ali
Thank you.
Hajjem,
It's an honor.
co-host this
Thank you.
episode.
Thank you, everyone. Thank
Brigitte.
you for the viewers that are watching, and have a great evening.
Have a great evening and free Palestine.
Yeah.
Good night.